Some of you are probably wondering where I've been. Some of you are probably thinking that I never really left. But for those of you who have been waiting for my return, I'm back, bitches. Welcome to another episode of the Fat Boy Diaries. I'm Gran, the resident fat boy, as I like to call myself. Now, I'm sure some of you guys are wondering why there is a black screen behind me. The reason for this is I wanted this episode to be a new slate, a new platform. 2018 is a new year, and I wanted to start this web series anew because I wanted this web series to go more in line with what my original idea for the show was. I apologize for the fact that this isn't coming out at 7 like I posted earlier today. It was supposed to, but then the two videos that I recorded had complications and the quality wasn't good, so I didn't want to give you guys that bad quality footage if you've been waiting a month and 12 days to have an update for me. To explain my absence, I was gone because of the fact that the holidays started and I stopped posting around Thanksgiving, and it's mostly because around that time I started truly feeling the fact that my father wasn't there with me anymore, because he's the person that really reached out to me during the holidays of my family. He really talked to me, let me maybe feel like it was even holidays anymore. And he died earlier in August of 2017, and that's why I started this channel in October, because I was trying to cope with that. And this has been a channel I've been thinking about doing, but what motivated me to do this was, one, if you guys watched it, was the mice that were terrorizing my apartment. Funny story about that, I just put plastic on the windows, and every time it moves in the wind, it makes me think that there's mice, so paranoia, am I right? No, I also started it because I really wanted something to distract myself while also doing the show that I really wanted to do, that I've been thinking about doing, about me losing weight and sharing my life with you guys. I'm going to incorporate that now. I'm also going to keep things that I liked about the previous version of this. I'm going to keep real talk, I'm going to keep movie reviews, I'm going to keep the comedic aspects, and hopefully there's going to be more comedy now and some serious things. So I hope you guys enjoy all this. I know I will enjoy sharing it with you, because I want this to be a very back and forth between me and the audience. Whether or not you clicked on this video because you've been waiting for me to post again, or because you saw the title and you were like, yes, pitches, and then you're like, yes, I gotta see what this guy's talking about. This is a movie review, but it's not just a movie review, it's the movie review of not one, not two, but all three Pitch Perfect movies. I'm gonna try doing it in a unique way where I review it to the story arc of these characters through all three films and not just one. And obviously I'm gonna spend more time on some more than others. And I'm sorry for that if I don't spend a lot of time on your favorite character. So to begin, I'm going to start off with the characters who are not in Pitch Perfect 3. These are being Bumper, Jesse, Benji, all these characters are unfortunately not in it, which I was upset by when I was looking it up on IMDb, because I really love all three of their storylines. I think they're humorous and funny, and they really added to the franchise. So this is the only reason that I find that some people might hate the film, because they're not in it. If you stay tuned till the end of this episode, I'll explain why it works. This is a spoiler review where I explain what happens and how I feel like they answered your fear and your letdown of not having them in Pitch Perfect 3. But what they do a great job of is, obviously Fat Amy and Becca were with Jesse and Bumper, and I thought they did a great job of explaining why they're gone. Like Jesse at least gets a shout out, and he's like, has a girlfriend and he lives 3,000 miles away, and that's why he's not with Becca anymore. And Bumper, Fat Amy broke up with, and she's acting like it's no big deal, but he was devastated by it, which I liked how they explained why they're gone, but they also made it so that it was true to their characters, how each character would react to being broken up with. So the first character I'm going to review is obviously Becca Mitchell, because she is Becca effing Mitchell, as Fat Amy would say. What I loved about this film is it's the third one, but we also get the true Becca, because in the first film, if you watched her storyline, she was very much a girl who did something because her father forced her to. She's very sarcastic and witty, but also very outside of the group. And the whole thing about that film is by the end of it, she finally is embracing the Bellas. For a brief explanation, Pitch Perfect is about collegiate a cappella, and that's what takes place in the first one. And in the second one, it's about how the Bellas have won, but they were disgraced at the Lincoln Center, and how the fact that the only way they can make sure that their group stays in Barton University and not expelled from the campus is to win worlds, and that's where Pitch Perfect 2 comes in. Pitch Perfect 3 takes place, because they're all competition series, takes place because it's the Bella's quarter-life crisis, which is apparently a real thing, and they just are all really depressed about being out on their own, and they miss each other. So in order to So in order to pep everyone up, they decide to go on a USO tour, which is how Aubrey's in the film, because she's kind of in the background in Pitch Perfect 2, because it's her father allows them to get a slot in the USO tour and for them to be part of a competition to hopefully perform for DJ Khaled at the end of this, because whatever band wins gets to open for him at the live broadcast of his concert at the end of the USO tour. And so Becca, through this one, is still that girl that we met in the first one, where she's kind of resistant to the Bellas, but like at the end of that one, she kind of embraces them, and truly, like, her vision and the way that she looks at music and sound is what allows them to finally change who they are and allow them to win nationals. In the second one, they've been consistently winning because it's their senior year, and now she's like on the verge of breaking out of college and going to being a music producer, and we see that throughout the film and how she's battling staying to be a Bella while also trying to move on with her life, and how the Bellas and how she feels like she can't share that with the Bellas because she feels like they're going to feel like she's trying to tear them apart, which she's not. And in this one, what I love is she kind of, like those first two films, got rid of that mindset with her. And so in this film, what happens is they're all a close-knit sisterhood. And so at the end of the film, we find out that DJ Khaled doesn't want all of the Bellas. He just wants Becca to open for him as a solo artist. And she doesn't want to do that because of the fact that they're very close in their family, and she doesn't want to betray her family by going for an opportunity that would separate their band and their team and their group. And what I loved about this is they made it a moment where she finally loved them to the point where she wasn't like resistant to them or any of that kind of stuff. It was the Bellas who gave her the strength to move on, whereas in Pitch Perfect 2, it was her fear of relying on the Bellas that held her back, while this one they pushed her forward. Now, Fat Amy is the other main character of Pitch Perfect, but she's a character who's the wild card of the series. You never know what comes out of her mouth. You don't know who she actually is, and in Pitch Perfect 3, they finally answer the questions like, why is she so crazy? Why is she so neurotic? But they also turn her into like an action hero. And I know what you're saying, Pitch Perfect is about collegiate a cappella. Then why is Fat Amy suddenly an action star? Because that's Fat Amy, and she can do anything. And she's hysterical, it's still funny. The films, all three of them carry their humor throughout. I laughed as much as I laughed in the first two, and I really appreciated the callbacks to original jokes that they had. For instance, Aubrey's father is always absent, and she always says these random one-lines about her father. Like, for instance, when she truly lets go and bonds with the Bellas in Pitch Perfect, she says, like, my father always said, if at first you don't succeed, pack your bags. That's really heart-wrenching and horrible, and that's what really opens her up to like truly bond with the Bellas. And for this one, it's her father and her connections is what makes the third film possible, which I appreciated. Instead of making it a random thing that brought them together, it was a character who already had the skills and the opportunity to do so. And I really thought that was a brilliant move on their part. Because Aubrey's not in the second one now a whole lot. She mostly is just there to kick them back into being a team, and because she has maybe 2 scenes with the Bellas, and then she's not in the film at all, which I missed her. But I realized why they did that, because you can't always have a over-controlling person in there, because when she was over-controlling, that she would lose control and puke, and that's not as funny, and you can't carry puking for a whole franchise. I'm going to review some characters that are in the film but not as much now. Stacy, who is the stereotypical slut, if you're going to be things into labels. I love her character. She's not afraid to be who she is or get what she wants. She's in Pitch Perfect 3, so that's good to look forward to, but she's not in it as a singer. I mean, she sings one harmony with them, but they give her a storyline and explain why she's not going with them for her being pregnant, and that's why she can't go with them. I just was really curious if that was true when they started filming, because it didn't make sense that she couldn't go with them on this trip unless this was a true fact, because it's not like there's a limit to a USO tour group if the Bellas can perform together. But she does make an appearance. She does 2 appearances, and they're both really heartfelt. She's my favorite underrated singer in it, because her harmonies that she sings with Esther and Cynthia Rose are great in both Pitch Perfect and Pitch Perfect 2. Cynthia Rose is also in the film, but in this one she kind of embraces her Jamaican accent, and she sings a lot of those kind of riffs that you hear from like that kind of reggae theme. But in the first two, she's like a brilliant singer. In Pitch Perfect 2, she made a song that I love to this day. It's called Crazy Youngsters. I listen to it constantly. I also found out that she actually did songwrites for Beyonce and Rihanna. So if you don't know who Cynthia Rose is or Esther Dean, look her up. She's a really good singer. She doesn't play like one of the main characters, but she's still part of the Barton Bellas. What I mean by not main characters, I mean what happens to her doesn't fuel the plot, but she's still a very important part of the group. We also have Rebecca and Ashley. They are very underrated in Pitch Perfect because they're always the people that the joke is that you forget about them. The only thing that made me kind of upset about this film, Pitch Perfect 3, is that it's been 3. It says the farewell tour. It's supposed to be the last one. And I would rather see all of them on the cover than care that they're supposed to appear invisible, because that really bothered me that they weren't ever part of the posters, even though they're in all 3 films. And then we have Lily, who she's the one that always talks really quietly, and her first line is like, "Hi, my name is Lily Guillermo, and I have gills like a fish." She's very kooky, really weird, and she does that for all of the franchise. And in this one, they kind of push it to a whole new level, because her last line is she's like, "Hi, my name is Esther." Yeah, and the devil's finally released my body. Like that's her final joke that she says. And then Flo, who's only in Pitch Perfect 2, she goes like this because she's a immigrant who's part of the Bellas, and I thought was very underrated in Pitch Perfect 2, but I thought because she seems like a stereotype, she doesn't seem like a real person, but they really pushed her to be more than that in this film, which I appreciated because I actually started to care for Flo rather than in the second one I felt like she was there for no reason, because she's the only other new character besides Emily the Legacy, who's played by Haley Steinfeld. It's been 3 years since she was performed with the original Barton Bellas that we love in the films. And so she goes with them mostly to be part of her sisterhood, but we think that it's just to be with them, but we find out that she gave up songwriting, which was a huge part of Pitch Perfect 2, is her song Flashlight, and how her working with Becca allowed them to make this song truly tied the ending of Pitch Perfect 2 together. And how in this one, the Bellas are really trying to re-inspire her to get back into that, to feel her passion, so she doesn't let that go because of school getting in the way or fear or something. And I thought that was a great callback to the ones that she's been in. Now, Chloe, who's played by Brittany Snow, is my favorite character because she's someone so afraid to move on with her life, but she's also the very mother hen of the Bellas, I feel. She's always taking care of them. She's always sticking up for them from Aubrey in the first one, and she's also trying to help them become better in the second one. So she's very much a mother hen character who just loves being with everyone. And her introduction to Becca is hysterical because they made Becca, and she's kind of like she hates acapella in the first one, and her introduction isn't with Becca and then becoming semi-friends isn't a shower scene where they sing Titanium by David Guetta. You should look up this scene. It's very humorous. It's one of my favorite comedy scenes in Pitch Perfect. I bring this up because they have that theme where you kind of get like you kind of get a sexual humor between her and Becca throughout the whole franchise. Because in the second one, she says a line to Becca where she's like, "You know, Becca, one of my greatest regrets is that I never did enough experimenting in college." So they just have that joke go along that you never know, like, their friendship, what they are or what's going on, if they're just really close sisters, or what's going on with Becca and Chloe. Because in the third one, they like do something else that I'm not gonna tell you, but like they do something else. It's funny. It's true to their character. It's just humorous, and I just love that relationship that she has, because she's very much someone who pushes them to be together and who really believes in the sisterhood that the Bellas are. Not only that, but we also see the Bellas, who they will be after these films are over. They give us enough to like have an idea of what their lives would be without Pitch Perfect, like without us seeing them live them, and I really appreciated that from the films. The last moment of the film is Becca, and she's opening for DJ Khaled because she wins the USO tour. This is the reason why I say you should go see it, even if you think you'll hate it, because the Troublemakers aren't in it, because of the fact that you see Becca embrace the dream that she's had for 7 years for all 3 films, where she went to college because her father would help her move to LA so she could become a producer, a singer, and produce music, because that's all she wants. And in this last moment, you see her do that. She steps out on stage under a spotlight and she embraces her artistry. She doesn't do it alone like we think. After the intro's over, she goes down and she grabs Fatty Mae's hand and she brings all the Bellas up on stage with her, send off to the group that they had. and I really thought it was a brilliant way to let you as an audience think back to why you were watching Pitch Perfect and realize, were you watching it because of the romance, or were you watching it because of the acapella, or were you watching it because of Becca Mitchell and her journey and her acceptance and her fighting to do what was necessary to become a singer and a producer. I thought that was a great way to make me reflect and be there in the moment with them. Something I'm going to tell you guys about is at the end of the film, make sure you stay, because they have a documentary they've been filming since Pitch Perfect, and during the credits they let you see this documentary, but they also let you see moments in Pitch Perfect 3 that were taken out for some reason. I'm hoping that these will be deleted scenes that we'll be able to see, because on Rebel Wilson's birthday they made her shoot a scene where she was attacked by dogs that was taken out of Pitch Perfect 3, but it's inside the documentary, and you just see her like literally get tackled and like they're like chewing at her arms. And I'm just curious what that scene was, because it seems very humorous. Something, I support the troops, and I hope everyone supports the troops. It's a great thing to be supportive of. And what they did with this film is a USO tour supporting the troops, and they have extras, of course, it's a movie set, but they also try to use the real military in the backgrounds as well when they were shooting these scenes. So we also have real military men there. The riff-off in this film is hysterical because it makes fun of riff-offs in Pitch Perfect and Pitch Perfect 2, because they finally like break down the rules for you in Pitch Perfect 3, because sometimes they got kind of meddled in the first two. And so you get to see the Bellas, and they're like jamming and they're doing a cappella with 3 groups that don't do a cappella at all. And they're explaining, they're like, no, you're supposed to match like the last word to the next song that you're singing in the same key and in the same beat. And they explain it, but none of these bands care because they're not part of whatever a cappella people do with riff-offs. And so I thought it was finally great to see them take that not so seriously and break the humor, but at the same time have a riff-off that's warranted. Ruby Rose is in this. She's a famous Australian actress who also is in Resident Evil and Triple X and Orange is the New Black. She's an amazing singer. Look for her. It was amazing to me to find out how close she had gotten with all the Bellas, even though that she's the supposed rivalry with them, with her band Evermoist. Yeah, doesn't sound pleasant saying, but that's their band name. I love how serious they take this film, while at the same time being able to make a joke out of it. So for those reasons, I think you should see it. Hopefully you like it. I understand your reasoning if you hate it because there are characters missing. But I hope that you enjoy that fact that they didn't rely on these characters to make a third one. That's it for my review. Hopefully I told you enough that you'll go see these films. It's a franchise that meant a lot to me. I'm gonna end with a story. And during Pitch Perfect 2, which remains to this day my favorite Pitch Perfect film, it's directed by Elizabeth Banks, who plays Gail, which is one of the narrators turned documentarian in the third film. During Pitch Perfect 2, when it was released, I went home for the summer between college, and I spent every week at the theater watching it, sometimes more than once a week with my little brothers. And when it left Fairchild Cinemas, which was our local theater, I went all across Washington State with my mom's car and with my little brothers so we could watch it until the day it left all theaters in Washington. It really cemented my relationship with my brothers, and for that reason it holds a dear place in my heart. And it makes me really nostalgic watching it, especially with it being the final one and it being a movie that I could watch that would help me feel close to my family, even though I live in New York and they live in Washington State. I miss you guys if you're watching. Love you all. Hope you had an amazing new year, and I hope that you guys have a great night, and I will see you guys tomorrow, but I'll also look forward to Wednesday, where I release a tribute to Pitch Perfect. It's going to be a sequence of clips from the films that I put together. I have no expectation of getting any like recognition from it. It's just me sharing my view and having my own spin and letting you guys feel what I feel when I watch the film. So look forward to it, and see you guys next time. Thanks, and don't forget to subscribe.